With another good week of weather brought another good week of trains, and some of those trains had foreign power or equipment of interest. For example, like this 264 that came around the bend with a CSX ES44 AC trailing third behind two NS locomotives heading for AR, Massachusetts. With CSX Transportation taking over Pan Am Railways in June 2022, we often now see not only Pan Am foreign power, but CSX, as they're all owned by the same company, which makes these Massachusetts-bound trains even more fun to watch. Later that evening, 16R came up the D&H with SD60 6959 sounding her sweet horn through town. With her is an SD70 AC number 1029 and AC44 C6M 4290. Like the previously mentioned 264, 16R was bound for Air, Massachusetts with her manifest block. Interestingly, tonight's train features an extra section of well cars that are empty, along with its normal manifest, trash, and rack blocks. The trash in this train are from Alabama and Michigan. The MSC and the regular 40-foots are from Alabama, while the blue trash containers are all the way from Michigan, all bound for AR and Mechanicsville, New York. This train will receive a crew change from Norfolk Southern to Pan Am, with the NS crew getting off in Mechanicsville and the Pan Am crew getting on in Mechanicsville. Another 16R. Unlike this one, I had no time to waste. With an SD60 and two AC44 C6Ms to power. This 16 was also very short. Didn't even take a minute to pass. As day turned into night, 30T came south. A surprise on 30T is this BNSF-944CW that came off the Canadian Pacific. It must have been stuck on a CP train, and the CP power desk thought it would be a wise decision to send the BNSF-9 back to home rails on this 30T. While the -9 won't get on home rails on this train, as this train ends on the Norfolk Southern, it is a part way to get back to the BNSF, as it will be interchanged with probably, most likely, NS Train 309, which does link up to the BNSF in Chicago. 30T has its usual mix with Canadian paper products, grain hoppers, and most importantly, lumber. Canadian lumber products are a big deal. 95% of lumber and paper comes out of the Maple Leaf country. That Wednesday saw another 16R with the same SD60-944CW and ES44AH from the 264 we saw earlier. This was a nice train to watch as the sun was just setting on another long day. We are filming on location at the former D&H station in Bainbridge, New York. Passenger trains used to stop here every day. Once upon a time, D&H Challengers, Big Steam, and Aqua PAs ran through here. As a rail fan, I've always been excited since CSX took over the Pan Am. As like I said, locomotives from both companies now show up. As you can see, modern day CSX locomotives were locomotives from the 70s and 80s that are owned by Pan Am but now are owned by CSX. You get a good variety. Modern versus the past. Tonight's 16R had no auto wrecks, mostly trash and manifests. Later that night, an unusual sight on the D&H. This maintenance of way train, NS 941, came down south. A lot of this maintenance of way equipment, I believe, was sitting in Oneonta, and all of it needed to move. The crew, while I was away and in school, brought up NS-9 9913 and ran it Long Hood forward to pick up the equipment in Oneonta. Fun fact about the 9913. The 9913 is in my room in a picture trailing on what looks to be an auto rack train. So it was nice seeing the real thing in person. A lot of the flat cars in this train are from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and from the 90s. I don't know where all this equipment was going, but it was sure cool seeing it. Speaking of maintenance of way equipment, This maintenance of way equipment wasn't on flat cars, but under its own power. Not sure where they were heading, but looks like they were just starting their work for the day. And this is the result of something as small as MOW equipment coming through. The sensors with the gates get confused and they don't go back up after a long time.
581.
I think you're good, guys. Looks like the ghost train's right behind the MOW crew. The following day brought one train and a truck. But the train is 16R once again, with another modern day CSX locomotive. This one is an SD70 Mac. This one is number 4531, and it looks to be either freshly painted or freshly washed. This is not the first time I've seen this SD70 MAC, nor will it be the last. CSXT 4531 was built in 1999 as CSX 703. It was later renumbered to 4531, the number it would keep up until 2023, where it still wears its 4531 number. And I believe these SD70 MACs were recently refurbished at the Huntington, West Virginia shops owned by CSX. CSX is reviving a lot of their SD70 Macs. And like a McDonald's Mac, I'm loving what I'm seeing. With 16 out of the way, the following day, we explored some railroad that's not in current use right at the moment. This line is in Norwich, New York. Oh, by the way, I thought I filmed this car because it's got the Empire logo on it. But as I was saying, this line sits in Norwich, New York. This place is like an outdoor railroad museum, still owned by NYSW. In 2006, the flood would wash out parts of the line, including ballast, the rails, and ties. Since it was not worth it to refix the line and bring it back to life, NYSW left it dormant for several years. In 2017, they ran test trains through here and were on their way to bringing back the line, but what took out the line in the first place returned. It wasn't a flood, thankfully, but it was water, as some of the ballast, ties, and the rails were washed out once again. And once again, this line sits dormant for God knows how long. I would love to see this line come back as a tourist railroad. This line was originally constructed by the Delaware Lackawanna. The Delaware Lackawanna would run the line from 1868 to 1960, where they would merge with the Erie Railroad to create the Erie Lackawanna. However, in 1976, Conrail would take over the Erie Lackawanna, making the line into Conrail territory. However, in 1994, the line was bought from Conrail from NYSW. NYSW would run trains through here up until the flood of 2006. While no more trains may run through here, a lot of its old stuff is still out and about. Like this old signal tower for the automatic activation of the crossings. A man would have to sit up here and activate the crossings from the tower. There's a dedicated plaque on the tower for all future railroaders and railroaders of the past. The depot is also still in amazing shape, as it's off to the left of the tower. This is the old station of the Delaware Lackawanna, and unlike Bainbridge's station, the platform is still visible and you can still go out on it. This really brings it back to a time where it was much more simpler. Trains were running and steam was the norm. The freight depot is not too far down, as it's only a couple steps away. Who knows, maybe one day it will be brought back. Maybe for a tourist railroad? But let's hope that this line doesn't sit dormant for years to come, and that someone will eventually rescue it. But back to active railroading. There was a train coming south, and that train was 30T. 30T had two AC-44 C6Ms for power. Later on that night, its northbound counterpart train, the 31T, would make its way north. However, this is a good safety lesson. Never ever go around the gates when they are down, because that train is coming. And don't do this at home, kids nor adults. Regular flat cars are empty. And to the guy who just crossed illegally, the train barely took a minute to pass. Not worth it, folks.
But what is worth it is ending the video. Thanks for watching. See you later. God bless.